right, good morning, everybody. Welcome into Baseball and Coffee. Monday, December 1. Making sure everything's good here. We are in winter now, sort of. Not officially, but we're calling it because it feels like winter. And it's December, and we're past Thanksgiving. And so we switched up the stream intro, as you guys saw, which I thought was pretty cool. Shout out to MLB for hooking that up. Give them the idea, and they ran with it. So that's pretty good. And then today we're going to be doing mostly top prospect talk, but we'll do other talk as well as we get going today on a winter Monday. So I hope you guys are good at home. Here is the new layout for the actual screen itself. So we can we can get into it a little bit. Let me go back to my Winter League stuff for a second. There's some interesting Winter League stuff to look at. And then we'll check out the Helsley signing with the Orioles. And then we'll watch some top prospects play baseball for a little bit, since most of them are in the minor leagues. So they're kind of out of our reach in terms of watching them most of the season, but not when you have the tools. So we can watch some of their hardest hit balls. We can watch guys pitch a little bit. We'll get an idea of some of these dudes. All right, winter ball rolls along, 23-7 Aguilas. Last night, some interesting stuff. Where's the game I was looking for? In this game last night. Now, Aaron Sanchez, former Blue Jay pitcher, has been down there, and he's been pitching a lot for the Toros. He's already got 46 1/3 innings in winter right now. Let me go to game logs. These are his starts so far. It's been interesting because he kind of disappeared for a little while, and we know he was a really good pitcher for the Blue Jays when he was young, and he's kind of been bouncing around, trying to refine his groove, but he's been the best pitcher so far in the Winter League down in Dominican. 5 innings has been his shortest start, and that was 2 starts ago when he only gave up 1 run in that. And then before that, 5 1/3. But other than that, 6, 6, 6, and then 7 innings this last game versus Aguilas, which has the best lineup in the league. So I thought it might be fun to maybe really quick just comb through this game last night and see if we have any video on Aaron Sanchez, and let's just watch how he gets his outs here. Hopefully the video will populate. It wasn't coming up last night, but hopefully we can get it today. Wow, video unavailable. Are you kidding me? Let me just make sure that's true. What are the ways for a blister guy like Sanchez to get actually out from under the blisters? So finger care is very important. I talked about it a little bit earlier in the year with some nail stuff and some blister stuff that I think McLean was going through. Nolan McLean was going through. Let me switch out of this because this is failing. Basically, it's tricky, right? But that's why it's important to really pay attention to your hands all the time as a pitcher. A lot of times you'll grow a big blister, but like peeling it's not necessarily the best idea. A lot of times you want to get them kind of dried out. And you want to firm them up as good as you can and kind of create a little bit of a callus. I would always keep my nails nice and trimmed tight, and if they were starting to chip, you could get like a gel, like a hard gel put over them so that they don't break as hard. But ultimately, blisters, you should try to get out ahead of that. Try to create that callus early so it doesn't get to you in the season when you're pulling on it a little bit more. But you got to get out ahead of it, because if you don't prepare the fingers, then when you start to put a lot of stress on them, if you have that type of skin that can kind of let go pretty easily, you start to develop some issues. So no doubt about it, but that's an issue for a lot of guys. And I think the sticky stuff for a little bit was contributing, but obviously that's not really as much in the picture anymore. So I doubt that that's really a big factor. What do I make of Cody Ponce potentially getting paid and Matt Manning going to the KBO? So I was actually going to look into Matt Manning a little bit. Maybe we can start there for a quick second. Let's look up Matt Manning for a second, because he was a top 100 prospect a bunch of different times. I remember when he came up with the Tigers, and now he's off to the KBO. and he's going to go ahead and try to do the Asia thing and then circle back around. So last year didn't appear in the big leagues, had appeared in the big leagues each of the previous few years. It's actually really shocking that his career didn't take off a little more looking at some of these stats. Just your basic stats here. I mean, he's not punching a lot of guys out, but 12 starts with a 3.43 in 22, and then another 15 starts with a 3.58 in 23. I mean, bottom line, results are okay. You can see that the underlying stuff's not as exciting. Career high is 7.5 strikeouts per nine. That's not really up to major league standard as a starter, but I mean, this guy had big prospect pedigree, as I mentioned. He was a very high pick. Where was he picked? Let's see, 9th overall in the 2016 draft. Let's see who else was in that draft. So leading up to him, Moniak, Senzel, Ian Anderson, Riley Pint, Corey Ray, AJ Puck, Braxton Garrett, Cal Quantrill, and then Matt Manning. That's a pretty bad top 10. No real star players have popped out of that group. I mean, Puck's solid guy, Garrett, Quantrill, but that, Moniak was okay, but Senzel, that's been bad. Ian Anderson was great and then kind of fell off. Riley Pint, that was not so good. Corey Ray, I believe he has one game. Yeah, one game in the big leagues. Who is the prize of this first round? Looking down a little bit. Rookie of the Year, Kyle Lewis. He kind of went away too. Will Benson. Man, this might be one of the worst first rounds I've ever seen in terms of actual results. Will Smith. Will Smith was probably the best guy in Cole Reagans. Cole Reagans, Will Smith. Yeah, good call, Guterman. Yeah, Will Smith, and then Joey Wentz. Nick Lodolo was the 41st pick, so that was probably the next best. But yeah, that's scary. But it's not over for him because now Mr. Manning gets out of the process. Ooh, Pete and Bo were second rounders. Those are the real prizes, huh? But now he gets out of the system, if that makes sense. Now all of a sudden he is going to go to KBO, and he's going to be able to basically, if he pitches well, he comes back unencumbered. So if he comes back, he can sign a major league deal with somebody. And that's kind of the advantage. One of the advantages of going over there, you make more money in the near term. He's probably going to get a chance to spread his wings a little bit, pitch a lot, which is important for development as well. Learn some things, pick up some things over there. Definitely gain some maturity through the experience, and then hopefully you pitch well enough. He's only 28 right now, so he's got a couple years here where he can come back and be ready to go. He can be good to go, so it's pretty good. Reynolds, Sean Murphy, Burns, Bieber in the 4th. I mean, there are always dudes that pop in the later rounds, but it's rare to see a first round that was that weak, right? That was crazy. All right, so I wanted to watch Aaron Sanchez's game. I'm a little disappointed that we can't get the video. I'm confused by this. Usually you get all the video from down there, so I don't know whether I have to relog in or whether we're just struggling grabbing video. But it seems like we have nothing from this game, which is a little disappointing. All right. Anyway, we tried. Let's go look at the other games, though, from yesterday from the DR, because there were some good ones. That got rained out. Licey and Gigantes. It's so crazy. One thing I wanted to show somebody the other day was something about these rosters. That's super crazy. If you go to like preview, look at how long these rosters are on each side, which always blew my mind because basically we would get like a thing on WhatsApp the night before. When I was in DR, they would get a thing on WhatsApp the night before with like the travel roster or the game roster, and it would be trimmed down to whatever the number is. 28 or 27 or whatever it is in lead-on. But you see the pool of players that's drawable from on each side, and it's like 50 deep. So it's pretty crazy. Why would a pitcher choose KBO over Japan? Well, I think that Japan is still considered a little bit of a better league, and ultimately it's a little harder to get one of those spots. especially a starting spot. They tend to have some good starters that are ingrained in there, and it's tough to get them. But in KBO, for sure, if you get in there, they're going to give you a chance. We've seen some guys, Cody Ponce included, go out there and throw, close to 200 innings for Korean teams. Brooks Raley was there for a while. I mean, there's been success stories out of both, but there's also interesting differences with the two leagues. The KBO right now is more of a hitting league, and the NPB, the Japanese Nippon Baseball, is in a dead ball era, so it's much more of a pitching league right now. So I don't know if you're looking to get evaluated out of there. Maybe there's some advantage in actually going to the hitting league and dominating. But I don't know. I think it's a personal choice and who's interested in you. And there's not a lot of these spots to go around. There's rules about amount of imported players, foreign players. So given that there's rules and limits, it's not always easy to go exactly maybe where you want to go. But they're both great options, and they've proven to be great options for both for both situations. People that go to KBO and people who go to Japan. We've had success stories of them coming back to MLB and making a lot of money and having great experiences and things like that. So, all right. So there was this game. That's kind of it. All right, let's go and let's talk about Ryan Helsley signing with the A's. I mean, with the Orioles. Excuse me. So let me get rid of this. We don't need any of that right there. Now we can get into Ryan Helsley signing with the Orioles. Okay. This is a funny comment, too. Amai said he's excited to come MLB because people actually try to hit the ball. It's funny that you said this. The Orioles. It's the Orioles. I'm sorry, guys. What's funny about this comment is it reminds me a little bit of talking to Senga and his translator. I remember the first year when he came over to the Mets, he was throwing live BP and he was looking good, and he was nervous for live BP, and his translator was telling me that he was as jacked up for live BP and like just practice pitching against MLB hitters than he had been, in a long time, because in Japan he was kind of bored. He felt like it was too easy for him. So maybe Amai's on that side of things. He's ready for a challenge. But I love anybody that's ready to come and accept the challenge. So that's one of the things that's exciting about Amai, is that he pitches with such an edge. So it's going to be curious to watch how that works out. Who ends up signing him? I'm hearing now that the Giants maybe won't be willing to maybe meet his price, even though this is all speculation, which we don't really like to hang out in speculation land too much. Okay, Ryan Helsley signs with the Orioles. It's a 2-year deal. He can opt out of the first year. It came across that the Orioles were looking for a real ninth inning guy. Batista, shoulder surgery, no telling when he's coming back. Could be next year, could not be. Hard to say. But they go ahead and get Helsley, who, up until whatever happened after the trade deadline with the Mets, he was basically considered, one of the top a handful of closers in the league. Certainly by Stuff Plus, Fangraph Stuff Plus, he ranks extremely high. So let's go show that really quick. If you go to leaders, Major League Pitching, pitch modeling, Stuff Plus, and then we got to do relief pitchers. Pitch modeling. All right, we got to start that over. I screwed that up. Okay. Let's do this again. All right. Stats dashboard. Okay. As right-handed pitcher. And say we want to go to so weird, it's not coming up. I know he's number 1 though. Fuck. Come on, dude. Let's try this again. Leaders, pitching leaders 2025. All pitching. Pitch modeling. Stuff Plus. Why is it all going away? I guess because it's from... I had this before. Now we're clicking around boards looking like a doofus. All right. As a relief pitcher. Well, whatever. Let's just go to Helsley in particular where I can do it. So Ryan Helsley, Stuff Plus. It has him as being electric. 127 Stuff Plus. That's going to, as a total number, it's a total value. Oh, I was looking at playoffs. All right, let me go back then. How did I look at playoffs? Postseason, regular season. Thank you. Thank you, Churro. Thank you. All right, back to relief pitchers, pitch modeling, Stuff Plus. And here we go. He is number 2 in the entire league, according to Fangraph Stuff Plus. Tyler Rogers, Submariner, ranked number 1. But to be an overhand pitcher, to be here, is incredible. It says the slider's a 148. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit. That's what we're going to talk about as well. And then curveball 130, which is a pitch maybe he should throw more of. Fastball still at a 105, which is important to look at. And then he's got this cutter, which you don't see very much of, as 107. Now, this season he did have a 95 location plus, which is well below average, which would make sense because he struggled a lot. But it was mostly the fastball. So we go get in the weeds here a little bit about what he was dealing with. And we've gone over Helsley a little bit, but you see the extreme contrast between the two pitches of effectiveness this past season. -15 on the 4-seam, +12 on the slider. Now, last year, 2024, his 4-seam was a +3, and it yielded a 276 average and a 325 WOBA. Last year, it was a 506 WOBA and a 422 average, which is insane. So then it makes you think, okay, is the velocity different? Is the shape different? But when you go look at it, it's really not all that different. 4-seam shape, 17.7 on the fastball this year and 17.5 on the fastball last year. So virtually the same and virtually the same speed, 99.3 versus 99.6. So I think the tipping stuff is definitely real. He was definitely tipping on the way up. We tried to look at it, and a lot of the clips I saw, I couldn't tell, but that's because I didn't have the right clips. When I was looking later at something else, I noticed that he was having a hard time getting the ball into his glove without giving it away on his initial setup, a lot more than like doing anything from his setup. So there was tipping involved, but there was also an element of the slider was still so effective. Why are you throwing so many fastballs? You know? Doesn't make sense. Now, do I think it's sustainable that his fastball will get hit this hard? No, I don't. Because nobody's fastball that averages 99 miles an hour, even if you know it's coming, is going to give up a 422 batting average every year. However, I do think there's an argument to be made here that the slider has always been the real pitch for him, and that he should really be going back to that more and more. He hasn't had a negative season with a slider yet. +12 run value last year, +13 in 24, +7 in 23, +3 in 22, +3 in 21. He did have a negative in 2020, but that season was fake. And then he had a positive way back in his first year, 2019. There was some talk about making him into a starter, which I thought was a little very questionable scuttlebutt going around because he's essentially a 2-pitch pitcher, 47% slider, 45% 4-seam. I think the formula for him this year, and the Orioles will probably push him this direction, is probably even more slider, closer to 50%, a little over 50% slider. That way he can hide his 4-seam a little bit, have it play up. And then I'd like to see some more curveballs. He has a good curveball. It's his 2-speed down pitch. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't continue to use, slow and slower to then go back to the fastball. So he's an interesting case. He's got the really high arm angle. It's a very outlier arm angle. Only a few guys getting up over 60. He's at 62 degrees. I kind of like it, but it's interesting that they end up with Helsley because the Orioles were definitely looking to do a like a shorter deal. So it tells me that the asking prices on some of the other elite guys, whether it be Devin Williams, Edwin Diaz, which we already know about, Robert Suarez, even Pete Fairbanks, were probably looking a little different than Helsley. I think Helsley had a lot of motivation to sign, get a nice number this year. So assuming he's getting half of it, he's getting around 14 this year, which is great for a closer. And then he can rebuild his value and look to get a multi-year spot the next year. And if it falls apart, he has a guaranteed second year. So he ends up in a great contract situation despite the nightmare second half and the 4.5 ERA on the season. Because make no mistake about it, there's some red flags in this season. But I mean, 1.54 WHIP, 63 strikeouts, 56 innings. I mean, it's fine, but the Orioles are paying for this guy, the 2.04, the 2.45 the previous years, with a lot more strikeouts and a lot less going on. So I also think because he was getting a little skittish with his fastball, that's where the walks kind of ticked up a little bit. Let me see where he was the other years with his walks. I've never thought of him as a very wild guy, but let's see. Yeah, I mean, 43 percentile, 40th percentile is fine as a closer. 19th is a little low, and 7th is a little low. Other than that, in the metrics, there's really nothing else happening except his fastball just got hit harder. Extension's still the same, spin's still the same, velo's still the same. He's even still getting chase. So I actually think he's a pretty safe bounce back candidate. He could probably throw the exact same pitches, and he'll be fine. But I think this was an interesting move by the Orioles. Let's go see where it leaves the Orioles right now in their bullpen. So they bought Kittredge from the Cubs. Kittredge had an option, and then the Orioles went and took that. They bought that up from the Cubs. So now this is what they're looking at in the pen. They're going straight electricity in the ninth, and then you have Kittredge, who's been really, really good the last few years as your setup man. He was even there with Baltimore last year before he got traded at the deadline. So they brought him right back. Aiken's solid, and then after that, it's a bunch of younger guys, and then Cano as well, who we looked at a lot when we looked at the Orioles and some of his declining effectiveness. I don't think they're done, but this was a good sign that they went and struck early in the pitching department, because this is where they're going to have to be. They're going to have to be improving this pitching. They definitely have more room for more relievers, and probably I would like to see them pick up 2 starters. And then now they can start to think of themselves positively again. But they need arms. Like that's the real story with Baltimore. And this was a good first move. Obviously, it's a little bit there's a little bit of risk, but there's risk with anybody. And I think they're more of on the side of that was an outlier, freakish, bad second half. All right, what do we got in here? Tipping comes up a lot when guys struggle. Is it just the easiest way for a fan to grasp inexplicable bad results, or is there really more tipping than ever due to all the tape on the guys? I do think there's more tipping than ever now. Way more seeking it out. Hitters know they're at such a disadvantage against a lot of these pitchers that it really would help if they knew it was coming. And the reality is, because you can get the tape from all the different angles, you'll probably find something on most guys. So why not? Why not figure it out? And from the pitching side of things, you can complain about it, but it's not really cheating. It's more so just clean it up, make sure you hide your stuff, and that'll give you an advantage on the field. But yeah, it's tough. It's sneaky, and it's another thing you have to take advantage of. Your knowledge of the game is finding a way to not tip, because it's really, really hard to pitch when they know what's coming. And they're definitely looking. They're looking for this. They're also looking for steals. I mentioned that a lot too, is big time tipping when it comes to stealing as well. Anything like that. New listener, started by watching your pitching breakdowns in the playoffs. Love the channel. I've heard you refer to the 2020 season as fake a few times. Is fake/Disney for everything? Look, I mean, it's not fake for the people who don't want it to be fake. I just call it fake. I hated that season. I hated going to spring training, getting the rug pulled out from under me as I was getting going, having to drive back up to the Northeast, throw in my yard, have no idea what was happening with the season. We ended up having a 3-week shotgun spring training. It was very hard to maintain, your level of readiness. You're just kind of shotgunned into the season. And then on top of that, the sample size is so small that things get all skewed. So do I think like the Dodgers shouldn't enjoy their championship? No, they should. They earned it. It was hard. But I also think some of the statistics that came out of there, they have to be taken with a grain of salt. There's guys who had career years in 2020 on the strength of like 45 good games, and the same, guys in the other direction. I was one of those guys who had one bad game and it kind of nuked my entire season. So I don't know. I try to put it out of my mind. It didn't feel like any of the other 19 years that I played in pro ball. It was the one year that just felt like, we're kind of forcing this, and things aren't happening in the same order. So that would be my advice with that. All right, what else we got here? This is more on Helsley. He had no command in the beginning. People would lay off his slider because he couldn't throw it for strikes. See, I think they were eliminating slider. Most of his sliders are for chase. And I think this is where you got to throw multiple pitches for strikes. If you're only coming over the zone in the zone with a four seam, which is what it looked like to me before I saw some of the tipping, was guys are just committed to this four seam and they're on time and they're not missing it. And he's not locating it well within the zone. Now, most guys that have this type of stuff, they don't really have to locate that well within the zone, but that was definitely hurting him. He's throwing a lot of cookies for sure. Mitch Keller, get ready to learn Baltimore Oriole. Are we sure that the Pirates are going to trade Mitch? I know it makes some level of sense with the amount of starting pitching that they seem to have, a decent group there, and then maybe they can do it because they need offense bad, but we'll see. Orioles need to spend. Payrolls below 2017, and they have a new owner who said there are no financial restraints for improving the team. That's what it's feeling like now, Dan. It is feeling like they're going to go ahead and do some things. And really, I think they learned their lesson a little bit from last year. This is such a solid young core. We talked about it. Now it's not as solid if Rushman and Gunnar Henderson don't bounce back this year and become stars again. Then it's going to be lacking. But overall, this is a team that has a chance to be dynamic on offense and defense. With young bodies and a lot of physical tools, straight blue chippers, talent-wise, all in here. And I don't understand what they were doing last offseason because they really, really hurt themselves without having any depth. And sure enough, their health fell apart and their high-end guys weren't really there. And so, look, Rogers kind of came up and was great in that trade for Kobe Mayo. And Bradish came back off the IL, and you're expecting big things out of him. But after that, it's kind of meh. It could be a lot better. They have the money, and like you said here, if the payroll wants to go up, this would be a great place to spend it. In the rotation, I did see them connected to some of the starters. That's good to see. And I do think getting this one piece of business in Helsley taken care of pretty early, allows them to go ahead and turn their focus to more and more things. I mean, there's plenty more time in this offseason. Expect 2 or 3 more things for sure out of the Orioles moving forward. Orioles GM has never signed a pitcher to a guaranteed multi-year contract or drafted a pitcher with a top 50 picks. I saw that. So what's the acronym for this? There is no such thing as a pitching prospect. Seems like Mike Elias is firmly in that camp. Never drafted one with a top 50 pick and never signed a pitcher to a long-term guaranteed contract, multiple years. So he might have to get out of his comfort zone if he's going to attract a good starting pitcher onto this roster. I mean, I guess Helsley kind of breaks that, right? That's technically a multi-year deal, but yeah, look, you're in a different phase now. You're in a phase where you're gonna try to compete, right? You won the division 2 years ago. Last year was a step back. I don't think you're ready to reset. You have all these young pieces, so I think it makes sense to go in and change that up a little bit, right? Dan agrees, and it is, it's the AL East. We know it's tough, but at the same time, it's a waste of all this offensive talent, this young offensive talent that they have. I mean, Holiday, Westberg, Henderson, Beavers, Rushman, Cowser, Basallo, Mayo, that's all like premium prospect blood. And then you brought in Taylor Ward on a 1 year, so you're clearly planning on going for it more this year. And that was a little bit of a questionable trade because you punted on a pitcher in Grayson Rodriguez, but you're going to have to replenish that. If there's one thing I'm excited to watch with the Orioles team this year more than anything else, it's Kyle Bradish pitch. I freaking love Kyle Bradish. So hopefully he comes back, looks great again. I continue to add to this, and we go from there. Helsley's out from his nightmare. He ended up getting paid. He did pretty well. He has an opportunity to parlay it into a big deal if he shows up this year and shoves. Of course, in the AL East, it's always tough. But I really, really, I'm happy that he wasn't defined by whatever it was, 15 games or so with the Mets. So happy for that. I believe 10 snap until Skeens and remembered college guys can zip through the minors of good. Wouldn't take a high school pitcher 1-1. Yeah, high school guys are tough in the draft. I mean, Kershaw, you can get a Kershaw out of it, but it's, there's a lot of college guys that turn into the aces. You think about it right now: Skeen, Skubal, Garrett Cole, DeGrom, Kluber, Verlander. I mean, I'm thinking of a lot of guys over the years. A lot of them were college guys. So you can take it with a grain of salt, but yeah, the draft is tough for those high school pitchers at the top. Elias drafted McLean, but failed to sign him. I assume this is either as a draft eligible sophomore or as a high school guy. Elias didn't like McLean's medicals. Lightning McLean. Yeah, so he was drafted 3rd round of the 2022 draft. So he was a draft eligible sophomore, I guess. Or he was a junior that year, I don't know, and then he goes same round the next year. Interesting. Yeah. Orioles have been known to fail guys on medicals over the years. I think of even going back to Giovanni Gallardo was a guy who they failed on medicals. There's been a number of times where things have been agreed to and then all of a sudden they're not agreed to. So that's an interesting place to be as an organization. But yeah, the Orioles, man. 75 and 87 last year. Previous year, 1st place. So I don't know. I'm hoping that they go back in and they work really hard. I'm hoping that they do that. Yeah, Mets did that with Kumar as well. That's true. Who is the best high school arm today? Oof, I'm sure I'm forgetting about a lot of people. Mackenzie Gore was a high school guy who was a high pick. Hunter Green. I guess I have to think a little bit more about this. Max Fried. Max Fried is a really good example. Anyway, all right. Speaking of draft and prospects, that's what we're going to focus on today. We are going to focus on the top 100 baseball prospects. Now, what we'll do here is we'll look into each of these guys a little bit. We'll try to get a little video on them. We'll try to get a little comfortable with this top 10 because usually Baseball America and MLB.com and these people that all aggregate these guys, they don't really miss too often when you get to the very tippy top here. The top 10, top 20, these guys will all be major leaguers. Some of them will become stars. Some will become superstars. Some of them will not. But it's interesting to watch and to note where they are at the moment of this. Here's another one. Grand Balfour. Yeah, he got failed, and then he went and fought that because it does hurt your reputation around the league if you're getting your medicals failed by one team. Not a great thing. And then Jack Flaherty. So all 3 of those guys, Flaherty, Giolito, and Fried, out of the same high school. Those guys are all high school guys. That's a good example. All right, so we're going to start right at the tippy top. We're not going to mess around. Going backwards, we're going to start with the number 1 prospect in baseball, recently anointed Konnor Griffen. Now, I happened to watch a Youth Prospects Day in the Life video of Konnor Griffen just randomly, maybe 2 off seasons ago. I was just flipping around, trying to see what these young guys are doing these days. And I happened to watch his video, and I was very impressed. I was curious where he would go in the draft because he seemed to be a very raw, pure athlete type of pick with a good head on his shoulders. Ends up getting drafted very high, 9th overall. So same spot as that Matt Manning, 9th overall in the 24 draft, and then just hits the ground freaking running. These were his stats from this year: an aggregated 333 average, 415 on base, 527 slug, 942 OPS this season, scored 117 runs, hit 23 doubles, 4 triples, 21 home runs, drove in 94, had 50 walks to only 122 Ks, which is not bad. And on top of that, stole 65 freaking bases. So Konnor Griffen is the number 1 prospect in baseball, 19-year-old, probably get a chance to make it to the big leagues still in his teenage years. But he's going to be very interesting to watch. Now let's pull him up on Prospect Savant, which is something I'll be using for this. This is where his Baseball Savant-esque metrics lie. The only thing below average that you see is walks, slightly below average in chase, slightly below average in pull in the air, and slightly below average in swinging strike percentage. All that tells me is this guy likes to swing and he's aggressive, which is probably where you should be at the lower levels. When you get to the higher levels, that's when the strike zone judgment becomes so important. But ultimately, I like guys who figure out a way to hit the ball no matter where it's pitched to them when they're at the younger levels and they use their supreme talent to just dominate the league and they don't wait around too much. And that's kind of what he did this year. As you can see, he's tippy top of the scale in max EV, 114.2, average EV, 91.2 is great, 87th percentile. The speed, 98th percentile in speed. So the tool package is there. He's even got a good arm as well. He was a pitcher in high school as well. Here's what he did against certain pitches. So 361 xwOBA on four-seamers and a 406 on sinkers. 353 on cutter, then 319 on slider. So pretty good on all the fast pitches, and he hasn't seen a lot of sweepers yet. That will come. We'll get plenty of that in the big leagues, right on right. Struggled the most, I guess, with changeups and a little bit on curveballs. Had a 156 weighted runs created plus this year. I mean, really, he did it all this year. This guy was awesome. Here is the spray chart. Line drives, and you're going to see when we look at his swing in a minute. It's mostly line drives. It's a fast twitch. I can't help but compare him to a bigger body, more muscular Bobby Witt type of guy. So let's go ahead and I went ahead and I pulled up his hardest hit exit velos from the season. So let's go ahead and watch some of those. Definitely Black Friday and Cyber Monday is screwing with my internet. But anyway, all right. I don't know what's going on with this weird line up the middle. Is that for a shift? That's a shift thing? Yeah. All right, so let's see. Let's peep the first thing in the move here. We don't have any side views on this yet until he gets up to a higher level. Tiny leg kick. Not tiny, but decently good leg kick. Little bit of a scissor action with the back leg on the swing, which I love. Relatively short swing, relatively flat. So there's one. Let's see this double on a cutter. It seems like it's a very flat swing. I don't have any bat tracking metrics on it, but I don't think he's very scoopy. Frankly, I don't think he tries to hit for power yet. I think he's much more engaged in a line drive approach, which is where he should be. He's got tons of speed. He can use the whole field. We saw one of the below average metrics for him was pulled fly balls in the air. That will all come. If he decides that he's a guy who needs to create some power and get into his pull side ball in the air pop, then he will. Wow, look how hard that was hit. That got to the wall in like a blink of an eye. It's a pretty basic swing, but, you know, it's like Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt has a very flat swing as well. And I think when your tools are this electric, like your bat speed is this good, your foot speed is this good, it's better to be a little flatter earlier. And then if you want to become more scoopy and create more loft later, I have no problem with that. But when you start in that position, and that's kind of your effectiveness, it's going to be really hard when pitchers start peppering you with fastballs at the top. I don't think Konnor Griffin's going to run into any of those issues early. I think ultimately he's going to be able to make contact. His strikeout numbers were under control somewhat. He was still taking some walks. Staying through the big part of the field, as everything we've seen so far has either been pulled on a line or shot up the middle on a line. This is the first one off of a lefty. Let's look at the setup from the side. So, fairly wide, but not crazy wide. Hands have a little bit of rhythm to it, as you can see him kind of bobbing these hands around just to create a little rhythm. And then the load, I like the way he gets the barrel from behind the ball too. He does a lot of things really well in his swing. And I love the scissor with the back foot, so he stays through it. Energy stays over the plate. Here's a home run. My wife is asking me, love you, AO, love your new coffee cup. Yeah, these are going to be coming at some point, folks. This is my iced coffee cup. All right, here we go. Home run. Ooh, back view. So that's the first breaking ball we've seen, like middle down. Deposits that out to left center. It's a very simple swing, but you know what? When you have top of the scale raw ability, you can have a very simple swing, you know? This is the thing. Very impressive that someone with his frame and raw ability has the hit tool that he does. So I watched him take BP in this video in high school. I saw the numbers, I saw the pedigree, whatever. But the truth is, when you're facing the top pitchers, you don't know what that raw hit tool is really going to look like. Wow, he's going to beat this out? No, he didn't. He got out. But that was just a chopper in the ground at 114. You don't know what they're going to look like. But he came out and he put that to bed right away, making contact at all three levels. He didn't slow down. Even in Double-A, he raked. This is Spencer Turnbull. This is a major league pitcher here. Smoke to center with a little bit of top spin on it. We'll watch these last two hits. These are both changeups, which is actually the pitch I said he was struggling on the most by the numbers. Oh, man, just a line drive over the left fielder. And he's an extra base machine because he's so fast. It's kind of crazy that he had 65 steals when he had this many extra base hits, which tells me like every time he was on first, he basically stole. But you got to be fired up about this dude if you're a Pirates fan. The fact that he jumped up in these rankings this much in the first year, and he went from A all the way to Double-A, and this year he'll probably open, I would assume, back in Double-A, if not go to Triple-A a little bit at the beginning, unless he makes the team. Seems like he is often almost too quick on fastballs. I would expect a lot of right-on-right sweepers to this guy when he gets up to the big leagues. A lot of guys trying to slow him down. A lot of people pitching him away, making him go the other way. Because so far we've seen everything. Granted, these are the hardest hit balls. But we've seen a lot of stuff on the pull side from Konnor so far. While he makes consistent contact and has showed the ability to control the zone well, some evaluators did worry about length in his swing and some timing issues he needs to iron out, but his impressive bat speed combined with his strength and leverage could help him get to plus in-game power, especially as he learns to get the ball in the air more. So yeah, he doesn't know how to get the ball in the air more. It's not currently part of his game, but it really doesn't matter because he's so fast. You know, he's so fast. Let's see what this video scouting report is. Probably going to be an ad. So we'll give that a second. But yeah, I mean, he's like a Bobby Witt type for sure. Hopefully we can see this. Hopefully we can see the 70 arm. There he is when he's playing for Team USA, 18 under. That was him pre-draft. So you already see that since the draft, he's changed his hand setup a little bit. He's got them out here a little bit more, a little more loose. Look at the kid run. Oh. So here they had him in the outfield. These USA teams, these kids, they all end up becoming stars. You know, it's so funny to see it later. All right. Height, weight, 6'4", 225. I mean, he's already a beast. That's the thing. When I saw him in the high school, I said, this guy's a freak. But that's why it was so hard when I was watching the video. I said, okay, so he's a freak, 5-tool athlete, for sure, a top tier talent. But like, is he fully filled out? Like, what's this going to look like relative to real competition? Because even though he was in the South, he was in Mississippi, I believe Jackson, Mississippi. It looked like it was men versus boys, which is how it's supposed to look. But physically, it looked like that too. So I was wondering a little bit how it would play once he got out. But monster. All right, so that's it for Konnor Griffen. And now we're up to Kevin McGonicle. All right, Kevin McGonicle. This guy raked. So we'll go to his stats first. This is 2025. Another guy, A into double A. And the real place he crushed was in high A. But the overall on the season, he hit 305 with a 408 on base, 583, slugging 991 OPS. 101 hits, 31 doubles, 19 dingers. This is crazy, though. 59 walks, only 46 strikeouts, and 10 steals. So this is a hitter. This is a raker. Let's see what it says here in the bio. Tigers went for Max Clark, 3rd overall in 2023 with an eye on a below-slot bonus that would eventually allow them to draft and sign somebody. They ended up getting McGonicle, 37th overall pick, Pennsylvania native. Interesting that he gets to go play in Erie, too. Batting from the left side, McGonicle coils himself tightly in the box to turn on pitches. He didn't whiff on more than 12% of his swings. So this is crazy. He's got crazy exit velo, but he also runs a crazy contact rate. That's a weird combination to see. But here's what it says here. He didn't whiff on more than 12% of his swings against any pitch types in the Florida State League, and his 8.5% K rate at both levels was 6th best among the minor leaguers with at least 300 plate appearances in 24. He doesn't expand much. Pitchers typically paid the price when they came in the zone. He had a 93.6% contact rate. Above average speed, pitchers and catchers, something to monitor when on base, basically exclusive to shortstop. Many evaluators believe he's a better overall fit at second. All right. Let's see what we got in the prospect spot. McGonicle. All right. What's below average? Pulling in the air and speed. They have him as lower on speed. Yeah, his max EV only 107.6, but the overall EV 93.8, very impressive. So if he's consistently hitting it hard as he can and squaring it up really well, looks like it's more of a line drive approach as there's not a lot of pull in the air, but he did hit enough homers. The crazy thing is just that contact rate, though. You don't see a combination of elite exit velocities with high contact rates. Typically in the big leagues, that's an inverse relationship. What did he rake? Well, don't throw him a four-seam. My God. 910 ex-Woba on four-seamers? 335 on sinker. Really, there's nothing to throw at him. He raked every pitch this past year. I mean, I guess maybe he doesn't like it in, according to that heat map, but I don't even know which direction we're looking on that, so that's pretty stupid. And he only got a few games high up. All right, let's go try to find some McGonicle tape. Kevin McGonicle. All right, let's watch him hit some balls hard. This is exciting for the Tigers. They got another guy who's going to really impact their offense. They could use that. All right, so first thing I noticed right off the rip is he's not big. This is my first time watching him. I've heard the name, obviously. I've heard people bring him up, but he's short and squatty. When you're short and squatty, it's really tough to throw strikes to guys like this. He's got a lot of rhythm in the swing early. It's a toe tap. But he is awfully short to the ball. From here to here is no time at all, huh? Already with a pretty wide base. The ball's pissed on. All right, let's watch this one. Oh, this is still Konnor Griffen. What just happened? Here he is, McGonicle. Sorry about that. We got to get rid of Konnor Griffen. All right, we're back. Man, who does he remind me of? This swing has got vibes of somebody. I like how in his legs he is. I mentioned the squattiness. The squattiness, like I honestly believe that that's an important factor at times for hitters. Like when guys aren't as tall, it's just really hard to find as much places to go in the zone. Also, short guys tend to be pretty good at hitting the high pitch. There's an example of one left on left, oppo double, up in the zone. And I believe that is Konnor Griffen actually at shortstop there. Let's see this pitch again. He's just so tight to the ball, and when you're little, you get so many pitches up to you all the time because that's where people are going to pitch short guys that you kind of get more on plane with high pitches. So that could be something to watch with him, and why he's maybe so good with his contact rate is he's already like kind of immune to the fastballs. We saw his it's a small sample, but we saw his numbers on four seamers this year, which is kind of crazy. That's a front door sinker lined into right. So it's a line drive approach. I mean, the numbers don't lie. He's probably going to get up there pretty fast. I mean, this stat right here is crazy. 59 walks, 46 strikeouts. And the year before, it's been consistent too. 46 walks, 28 strikeouts, 18 walks, 10 strikeouts. And what's he, a middle infielder? So I don't know if he's going to be a shortstop or a second baseman. It looks like the fielding is about average. But this was a good comment by TN Overland here, because this is sort of what the profile of a Gavin Lux was when he came up with. Sal Frelick a little bit in terms of size, but I like this guy's swing a lot better. Frelick tends to do a lot of leaning back in his swing to kind of try to create stuff. McGonicle's quicker with more bat speed to the ball. I mentioned the inverse relationship typically between contact rate and bat speed. He's bucking that right now. He's got good bat speed and good contact rate, so that's really important. What else we got here? The Dodgers selected Kendall George one pick before McGonicle, and I'll forever be salty about it. So this is another guy, though. He's a high school draft. No matter what you say, high school kids are tough to project because it's hard to read them relative to their competition level. But this kid hits. This kid can freaking hit. Let's go to the video scouting report on him for a sec. Let me let that load. Let's see what it comes up with here. Monsignor Bonner High School in Pennsylvania. Man, you don't hear about a lot of Pennsylvania prep products becoming studs. All right, here we go. Here's the McGonicle from the draft. Of course, they show him hitting a weird Texas leaguer there. It's just a short swing, but honestly, like when you watch other guys with this approach, usually their bat speed's so slow. So I'm wondering what it looks like when you can do both, when you can have bat speed and contact rate and a short swing. I think that bodes really well for your chances, especially in the modern MLB. So that was him running the bases. Yeah, so even in high school, they had him rated pretty high in the hit tool right away. Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, so that's got to be near Pittsburgh, right? Or maybe that's Philly. I don't know, maybe somebody knows. All right, McGonicle, we're feeling good about him. I really like that swing. I mean, he cannot touch Konnor Griffen's athleticism and probably upside. But I don't know. You got to like that swing, right? 70 grade hit tool is wild. It is. Yeah, it looks like a lefty version of a righty swing I've seen. Honestly, I see a little bit of a Lance Berkman swing in here. He's a shorter Lance Berkman swing. So, I don't know. Let's see. All right, on to the third prospect, and this is Leo De Vries. He was traded for Mason Miller. So he was originally a Padre. and then he got traded for Mason Miller. So let's see what it says in the bio here. Padres have worked the top end of the international market well. They got the #1 ranked talent in 23 and 24. So De Vries was #1 on the international market. He got $4.2 million to sign. He had a shoulder strain at the end of 24. And he was a futures game this year, and then he got traded out. Switch hitting shortstop, exquisite knowledge of the zone, will take his walks like he's a player many years older. Needed just a little bit more exposure to the Cal League before making adjustments to their quality. 7 of his 11 home runs came from the right side. And then he flipped it in 25 with 7 of his 8 home runs coming from the left side before he was sent to the A's. He has more than enough bat speed from both sides of the plate where splits aren't a concern. Former point guard in basketball, Dominican Republic native, is an agile runner. All right, so multi-sport guy coming out of DR, which is rare. Let's see his stats this year. So he only hit .255 this year, but with an .806 OPS, 355 on base, 451 slug, 116 hits, 28 doubles, 8 triples, 15 home runs, 66 walks, 107 Ks, 11 bags. So not as much steals as I would have expected. How you spell this guy? How you spell it again? DEVR. I guess he's not in here. All right, whatever. Let's go find him on the stat search. Here he is. All right, Leo De Vries. There's a triple. Let's watch him hit a triple. Hopefully we get video on this. What do I think of this swing? A little bit of movement in there. Nothing bad. Just watch him get out a little bit. It's a pretty simple stroke from the left side. Got a little Lindor in it, honestly. And that would be the comp, I guess, right? Switch hitting shortstop. Above average defender. Good eye at the plate. Advanced approach. Be curious to watch this guy ascend through the ranks. AJ Preller is willing to trade everyone, anyone to win now because the Machado and Bogarts deals got so bad. I think that was definitely true this past year. I think the Padres are in a weird spot. We don't know where they're headed. They're at a little bit of a crossroads, but yeah, clearly they felt like they could let go of him and try to go for it a little bit there. I need more than this. How do I get more than this? All right, let's go back to him. Let's go to the videos. Let's watch him hit some home runs while this loads. He also can replace any top prospect with another in a year. I mean, yeah. I mean, at some point, if you think you have that type of scouting ability, then yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be afraid to trade anybody. You would use them all the way you can. But all right, so let's back it up. Here's a home run from the right side. Man, towering shot. Oh, there. That's Springfield. This was my AA park. This is a bang box. I give up a lot of dingers in this ballpark. But exciting for the A's, considering all the dudes they have. I know they have Jacob Wilson at short right now. But by the time they hit Vegas, this would be a guy. So there's Leo De Vries. Oh, thank you, Carlos. I don't want to watch that ad. Let me get rid of this ad. Get out of this ad. Let's watch his 3-hit game. I know we're gonna hit more freaking ads here, but I'm intrigued by him because most of the time in the draft, like the really high-end guys, they have been young shortstop types because then they can move all over the place. They can do a little bit of everything. But this is the top one that appears on our list outside of Konnor Griffen. This is the first international prospect on the list. You know, he's a little bit young. He's a switch hitter. His game is more defense, but with some added hitting. And now he's up to Double-A. This was in Midland. Been there too. And the A's are ultra aggressive, so it wouldn't surprise me if he debuted this year as a super low guy, but as a super young guy. Man, just 3 pulled balls through the hole here. I don't know. Going to be a good guy to keep our eye on. We don't know a lot about him yet, but definitely somebody to keep an eye on. And speaking of guys to keep an eye on, as we move on to number 4, Jesus Madé, which is a middle infielder for the Brewers system. He was ranked as the number 22 international prospect in 24. He wasn't even Milwaukee's biggest signing. He got $950,000. That's the same as me. The switch hitting infielder was a Dominican Summer League All-Star, his first taste of the pros. He batted .331, .458, .554. And what really made him pop across the industry was the data that came out of that. He had under a 15% chase rate, made contact on 89% of his swings, cementing his special plate discipline status. It's one thing to make good swing decisions, another to pack some punch behind the hacks. So this is like a McGonicle, similar to McGonicle. It's not just the bat control. It's not just the strike zone judgment. It's also the fact that you're still packing a punch along with that. Very few people combine all those qualities together. Madé did that too with a 47th percentile hard hit rate and a 103.9 mile per hour 90th percentile exit velocity, the latter of which would put him in the Jazz, Chisholm Jr., and Jose Ramirez territory right now as a 19-year-old player, 18-year-old player. So you're 18, and physically you're already in a similar range to a Jazz or a Jose Ramirez. That's a great place to be. Starting with a front foot slightly turned backward, Madé can look like a spring unloading on contact, though the vast majority of his looks came from the left side in 24. Defensively, Madé, an above-average runner, got the lion's share of his work at short, saw time at the other spots, plus arm is a fit at the hot corner. He could slide over. For now, Milwaukee will give Madé every opportunity to stick at shortstop. I don't think you'll see this guy next year, but he's another exciting guy to maybe pair with Chourio up the middle. Let's see if we can find anything in here from Madé. Jesus. All right, we got a home run in here. We got a single in here, so we'll take a couple looks. All right. That was nice. Definitely out front, but still able to get play coverage and serve it out there. All right, here's a homer. Ooh. Ooh. Ball was smacked. And he did a little recoil with the hands here. That was sick. That was nice. What else we got here? Let's watch a 3-hit game from Madé. We'll wait for that to load. Madé has incredible bat control, apparently. Yeah, that's what the scouting report's looking like. But I feel like he's just so young still. So we're gonna have to see. But the data doesn't tend to lie. There's a lot of underlying stuff to like here in that McGonicle kind of way. Like, oh, I have great bat control, but I also hit the ball hard. So let's watch this game with the 3 hits. Ooh, going the other way. I love that. I mean, that's going to be his role in the big leagues as a table setter. You know, any type of power he develops will be a plus, but you want him to be a middle of the order, top of the order, middle of the infield, all-around stud. Seems like he has a really good ability to ride out balls. Ooh, he's going to beat this. He looks so young. Be curious to see how fast they move him. It really will. Yeah, those uniforms. In the minor leagues these days, there are a ton of like gimmick stuff going on. Team names, uniforms, anything they can do to get you to the ballpark, they're doing it. They're doing it for sure. All right, here's a homer. Let's watch it. This is an Oppo Taco. I like his swing. He's another one kind of short to the ball. He does have a little bit of a bigger load, but hitting Oppo Tacos is a good place to be on a 96-mile-an-hour ball up in the zone. I think the being a shorter guy, I think again it helps have a natural ability to handle the ball up. But yeah, big fan of this guy so far. I would say he's considerably similar to De Vries, and honestly, you see all of the top 4 or 5 guys are shortstops. This is very common. These guys are going to be the all-around players. This is what the league is really valuing now, is all-around contributors, guys that aren't one-trick ponies. That's how you end up at the top of this list, unless your one trick is so insane that they can't resist putting it that high up. All right, I'm just getting in here for a second in the chat. I always wanted to make puns about how Preller's name sounds like Prellies, a German stimulant, but then I realized that you only know what that is if you have insane niche knowledge of the Beatles. Yeah, I don't even have that, and I know a lot of Beatles stuff. Do you think teams are going to value high contact bats more based on Toronto? I mean, no, but I think the all-around game plays. I think, there's so few guys that you need to have an element of both in your lineup. Toronto had an element of both. They had an element of power and they had an element of contact. If you can combine those like Vlad does, that's the holy grail as a hitter. But I think it's the all-around game that gets valued so high now. Like if you're going to be a negative on defense, some teams don't want any part of you. So you got to be good on defense. You got to be good with your base running. You got to be good with your hitting, whether that's power or contact, but you got to be able to make adjustments. And I think that's what teams are ultimately looking for, is all-around players. I think selling out for just power is one thing, but it's not something to do throughout your entire lineup. It's just one part of it. All right, what else we got here? He keeps his head still even with a big coil. He did. I like that swing. I do think his move is a little big, but when you're little, you have to make a bigger move. He had a little bit of a bigger toe tap, get ready move like Ozzie Albies. Not that that's a problem, but it's an interesting place to be. A-Rod in the playoffs saying the Jays prove slug doesn't matter in the playoffs, and the Jays try to line up where 60% of the guys swing as hard as they can at the first pitch every time. A-Rod's just factually incorrect in this spot. Teams that hit the most home runs win in the postseason. That's irrefutable. Go look at the numbers. Now, I think when you combine it with an element of contact, what people don't realize is there's more traffic. There's more guys on base. That opens up more avenues for you to score. So when that home run does come, maybe there's a couple guys on base that grinded their way on. Now it's a 3-run homer or 2-run homer instead of a solo shot. Those are more impactful. So if you just have a lineup of guys that are getting out or they're hitting homers once every 12 at-bats, the odds of you, your roulette chances of you hitting with a bunch of guys on base aren't as good. So I don't know. I think A-Rod's a little misinformed there. I think maybe what he means to say is the approach should be a little bit more line drive with home runs being a good result. I mean, look, A-Rod might have had a line drive approach. He ended up hitting 696 home runs. So those can be happy accidents. You can be one of the greatest power hitters of all time. But if you only do that, that's your only trick. I think that's the criticism overall. So it's a combination of things that need to matter. Is he close, Dano? I guess I got to look at that at some point. And I totally agree with, where'd that comment went away? I like that comment. Never mind. All right, on to JJ Wetherholt, another shortstop. And we'll read a little bit about him. This guy's a WVU guy, West Virginia. Wetherholt's breakout year at, this is the comment I liked from TN Overload. So it all matters, and I think that's what the smart teams are doing now, is they're really, really, really gauging on not trying to be too one-dimensional in any one area. All right, Wetherholt's breakout year at WVU came as a sophomore. He won the batting title, hit 449, had a 1304 OPS on his way to capturing Big 12 Player of the Year. And then he played well with Team USA and Chatham. He was set to be highly followed as a junior, but hamstring issues held him back. He still hit 331, 472, 589 with 8 homers and a 17 strikeout, 30 walk ratio in 36 games. So he still almost went #1 overall, even though he had a hamstring issue. But those numbers are crazy that sophomore year. Jesus. Anyway, Cardinals picked him 7th overall, sent him right to high A, where he hit 295, 405, 400. So put him an 805 OPS in his first 29 contests when he got into pro ball. Here are the grades. 65 hit tool. So they're ranking him almost as high as McGonicle on the hit tool. A little higher on power, a little higher on running, and then about the same on the others. So I'm curious to get into it. Let's see what his stats were from this past year. He played on 2 teams, which was AA, AAA. So he's now knocking on the door. And he raked at both places. 300 in AA, 314 in AAA. Man, almost was the same player in both places. Even though AAA was only 47 games, he put up a 978 OPS. This is a good baseball player. Everything I've heard about this guy is just a great baseball player, knows the game, has a great approach, does a lot of the little things well. Hit 17 home runs on the year. And here's the other kicker. This is similar to McGonicle. Not quite as standing out as much, but close. 72 walks, 73 Ks this year. You just don't see that. Now, that won't continue in the big leagues, but that's a great place to start, because when you're starting there, you're in a good spot. So this is really, really a strong player in terms of the stat profile. Let's go find him on the find him in here. JJ Wetherholt, prospect savant. So it's got him as above average in everything except max EV, pulling in the air. He doesn't swing a ton. Okay, so he's very patient at the plate, but that hasn't hurt him. Ultimately, over time, he'd probably find a way to be a little more aggressive on first pitches. If this is the one part of his game that's lacking, he'll probably learn to take a few more chances pull side. But man, look at the overall percentile rankings. Fantastic. He's good at everything. Really, really good at everything on offense. Very excited for Heimblum's Cardinals. Me too. I think he's going to do a great job with them. I think they're going to be back feeling like the Cardinals again and not too long from now. It's going to be really excited to see. This was me, Maya. I didn't get to graduate either. But honestly, like, you're just chomping at the bit to get into pro ball. So we all know what it's about, you know, when you're in that spot. Another guy who doesn't hit it insanely hard, but consistently hits it very hard. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to get more swing data on these guys. And we're probably going to see JJ hit the big leagues at some point this year. I'd be surprised if he didn't. But he's going to be interesting to watch because how that approach of, like, I swing pretty hard. Like, you look at his overall exit velocity, 86th percentile, 91.4. So he's consistently getting to his high end very well, even though his high end is not the high end overall. He raked 4-seamers. He raked sinkers. He raked cutters. So all 3 fastballs got crushed. And then he struggled a little bit on breaking balls. So that's going to be a big something to watch in the big leagues. Teams will definitely spam him with off speed, and we'll see how he reacts. Also seems to be a little better up in the zone. Spray chart's great. It's absolutely all over the field. See if we can find some JJ Wetherholt swings. Did I spell that wrong? Hold on. Oh yeah, it goes right here. Boom, got it. All right, JJ Wetherholt, here we go. Let's watch your swing. Let's see what we think. Cardinals, so Cardinals first rounders, you know, gotta love them. Even when they're busts like me, still gotta love them. All right, so he's upright in his stance. Oh, Memphis, it's my old home. Who's gonna get a double on that? All right, so first of all, he's a little bigger than these other two. Looks to me like to be a little, not to say he's not athletic, but just looking at him, doesn't look as athletic. So this is a tough left on left. Starts pretty high, looking to stay inside the ball there. Let's watch this. All right, so he starts open and very tall. Barrett does a good job with this barrel, getting it on plane too. I like that. There's a double there. Wow. Likes to go the other way. Likes to stay inside that ball. That ball's middle in. Did a good job pulling the hands in there. Looks very relaxed, very comfortable at the plate. I don't think we're going to have to wait too long. Now, I don't think he'll play shortstop right away because Mason Wynn just won the Gold Glove, and he's sitting there at shortstop, but they'll have all the opportunity for him. Ooh, good swing there. You know what? Let me rewind that again. That was such a nice swing. AutoZone Park. So he starts open, but when he comes in, he really stays in really tight. I like that a lot. Hey, dude.
I used 1,000 Christmas lights for the tree instead of outside by mistake.
And for what tree?
An inside tree.
It's okay.
Now we don't have outside lights.
So, okay. So what does that mean? You don't have to take them off. You can get more lights.
I don't want to go to Troy's.
Why do you have to go to Troy's? I actually agree. It does look a little bit like Robbie Cano. I was trying to put a number on it. It's not as smooth, but it's the same idea, that tall and fall over the plate approach. The swing did look like that a little bit. Let's watch a home run. Maybe we can get more lights. It's not the end of the world.
I don't have time. My goal is today.
There's a little, like, I hate to go from Robinson Cano, 4,000 hit guy, to another guy, but he's got a little Jake Bowers in the swing too, for what it's worth. Very handsy, but that pitch is sort of up, and he deposits that. That was a nice swing right there. They said to just hand you the credit card, lol. She said she took the credit card away from herself. What else we got here? Let's watch another. It's a little less drastic than Devers, but there's definitely like that tall, and then I kind of get down into it and I stay in it. There's actually a little bit of Yelich in it too, with no leg. The difference is he doesn't have the leg kick. I like the way he uses the whole field, though. All these guys so far that are combining like contact with exit velocity, they're doing a good job kind of having more of a line drive approach. They're not buying into the only pull the ball in the air approach. So that's interesting to see. All right, there's Wetherholt. Gave him a 50 in the field, so I don't think he's going to be knocking necessarily Mason Wynn out of there. But yeah, you'll expect to see him pretty soon. All right, who's up next? Sebastian Walcott. Walcott signed for $3.2 million out of the Bahamas in January of 2023. Some scouts were saying he could become the best player ever from the island, so that would be better than Jazz, better than a few others. So let's see. He earned South Atlantic League All-Star honors as a 17-year-old, leading the circuit in triples, extra base hits, total bases, hitting 261, 342, 443 as the youngest player. And then he went to Double-A for 5 games. Right-handed hitter, has thrived against significantly older competition. So this is property of the Texas Rangers. He's now up in Frisco, and he's only 19 years old. Sebastian Walcott. Here are the grades. 50 hit, 65 power. So power is the calling card. 55 run and 70 arm. So this guy's got big prospect grades in terms of tools. Let's see what the stats were last year. So last year he spent the whole year in AA. We mentioned how he had gotten up to AA a little bit in 24. This past year he goes 255, 355, 386. So only a 741 OPS. So a little bit of a step back results-wise this year. Granted, he's still probably the youngest guy in the league. 13 home runs, 32 bags. So the steals are a big part of it. They do say he's got pop. I do like that his strikeouts weren't out of control. Only 108 punches this year and 70 walks. So that's pretty solid. Interesting prospect. Guy I've never seen play. So let's see if we can get some video on his swing and stuff. Sebastian Walcott. Oh, no video because he was way down there. That's weird. I don't want single A. I want double A. How do I get more than 10? This is so ridiculous. Let me take away rookie, single A, high A, and triple A. Still nothing. All right, we're going to have to go the other direction. First of all, let's see if we can get him on here. This guy's like a friggin' mystery. This guy's gone. All right, back to here. Back to here. Fifth 3-game hit of the season. So let's wait for that to load while I look in here. Not sure how far down you're going to go, but love your thoughts on Jet Williams. I don't know how far I'm going to go yet either. Probably going at least through the top 10. Maybe I'll hit on, I think McLean's like number 11. So I'll hit on a few people, but, we'll see. All right, 3-hit game. Check swing, base hit there. Another jam shot up the middle. First of all, he's a big guy. Man, all 3 hits are kind of weak in this game. So he's a big guy, and that's probably why they're projecting him for power. How big is he? 6'4", 190, probably still growing into the body. Oh boy. All right, video. I want to see it. I want to see this home run. High ceiling, low floor is what TN Overland is saying. Is it easier to predict pitchers or hitters who will be better prospects? Wonder what the hit rate for both is. I would say probably hitters. The stats tend to translate a little better. But at the same time, with pitchers now, you have a lot of... with the pitchers now, you have a lot of the data, and since the pitchers initiate the move, like the action, you can be pretty sure that those stuff will play. So it's a little easier to evaluate them as they get closer to the big leagues in terms of confidence of will it play. Like there's sometimes with hitters, it's like, yeah, he batted 340 in AAA, but then he gets to the big leagues and he can't hit because guys have a scouting report on him. But I think overall, the general tools in the draft are safer with hitters, and hitters are you need to get higher end guys because there's only one hitter at each position plus a couple backups, whereas pitchers, there's just so much bigger of a talent pool. All right, so somebody just put this Jordan Walker type swing. Yes, I would agree, except with a much lower leg kick. So a little bit less moving parts. Another guy, I'd be curious to see the swing length metric on him. But there's less moving parts, but I'm not in love with the swing either, to be honest with you. I think this guy is pure projection. This is a guy that some scouts have seen him do some electric stuff, and that's why he's ranked this high. Man, why is this stupid freaking cursor in the way still? Come on, get out of there. All right. I don't really have much of an opinion on him because we haven't gotten a lot to look at with him, but it looks to me like he's a high risk, high reward. You know, he's never really hit for a huge average, but like the power where he's given such a high rating really hasn't shown up either yet. So I don't know. All right, that's it for Walcott. Now we're on to Samuel Basallo. Now I did a lot of looking into this dude. This is the Orioles guy. I did a lot of looking into this dude when he got called up, and I have to say I freaking love the swing. The swing is unbelievable. I'm curious about the rest of it. So here's his grades: 55 hits, 60 power, 40 run, but he's a catcher, 70 arm, 45 field. So right now they're ingrained with Rushman at catcher, but this guy's swing is a thing of freaking beauty. All right, like beauty. So let's get into that for a second. He's a monster too, 6'4", 180, but that 180s, there's no way that's real. All right, we gotta start. We gotta load this up again. Samuel Basallo. All right, here are his highest exit velos. Let's watch him. This guy's swing is nice. It's a pretty quiet initial move. He's got the ability to hit the top of the zone, bottom of the zone. He's got big donkey power. Oh, Davy Garcia sighting right there. So you see the move. It's open, but all it is he just moves the foot in just a bit, and he stays coiled, really quiet in the back, kind of gets into this position, and then unfurls. So I'm a big fan of Basallo. I think he's probably the best hitter potential of the guys I've seen. Honestly, I mean, I know Konnor Griffen, but I'm talking power, like a guy who's going to be a monster. This guy might be a monster someday. He really might be. Here's a home run off Hurston Waldrop. Oof. So Waldrop, big league starter for the Braves, probably going to be in the rotation this year. And you see how easy it is. He just coils and unleashes, coils and unleashes. I love his swing. I can't wait to watch him get his feet under him a little bit at the big league level. He's right now he's penciled in as DH for the Orioles on opening day. But I'd be curious how much run if he gets any at catcher, because it says he has a great arm, so that could be a useful thing to have, but there's so much more to that in catching. Dude, the right fielder didn't even move. Oh. This guy's got elite hitting ability. My God. I think he's going to crush it. I think this is like the next big time rookie to come up. Yeah, let's look at his prospects, Devon Page. Good call. Yeah, so as was mentioned here by Dan, he's unbelievable in everything until it gets to these metrics. Too much chase, too much whiff, not enough pull in the air, average on overall swinging. So he tries to be patient, but he still ends up not making as much contact as you would like, even at the minor league level in the zone. But he's the type of guy that when he hits it, it's game over. So it's a little bit of a Schwarber. I would compare him a little bit to a Schwarber at time of getting called up. Doesn't have a true position. Technically, he's a catcher, but he's really just a hitter. And I love the swing, though. The swing is money. You know it's going to play. It's just a matter of time. He annihilated both types of fastballs. What did he struggle with? Splitters and curveballs? I don't know. Fascinated to watch him develop. He hits the ball out to all parts of the field. I would compare him to young Kyle Schwarber. Yankees were going to sign him, but they had to forfeit pool money when they signed Garrett. Damn it, Garrett. Had to get all the dang money. But no, I mean, he's been great. I'm actually curious to see what he's looked like so far at the big league level. It hasn't been as good, but he barely got any run. Yeah, this is what he did at the big league level this year. 229, 330 slug, only a 559 OPS with 4 home runs. It wasn't very long. He didn't get very much time behind the plate, and that was underwhelming. So now you are really worried a little bit about him having to actually catch, but really that's Rutschman's job. Let's watch some big league home runs. This is the walk-off homer off of Tanner Scott, left on left. And I just think he's going to be awesome to watch. You know, Chris Davis hit 50 some odd home runs as a lefty for the Orioles. I really think he could be that guy in the future. I love his swing. Again, my comp for him is Kyle Schwarber, so I'm very high on Basallo. I think the only reason he's not rated higher is because of his ancillary value. It's not as big. All right. So we know a lot about him. We can move on. People are saying, in my opinion, he just seems the most poised of any of the guys that play. I think he's the most advanced, and he's just like a beast. These other guys are like all-around players. The top 6 guys that we looked at, Griffen, McGonicle, De Vries, Madé, Wetherholt, Walcott, those are mostly all-around players like who have speed element to their game, line drive element to the game, defense to his game. Basallo's just a masher. Defense is not looking good. He does have a cannon, but it's the bat. You're looking for this bat to become a big-time bat. Is Basallo's bat potential good enough to pencil him as long-term DH? You need to find a defensive position for him. I think you'd like to have defensive value out of him. You continue to develop him as a catcher, give him some chances as a catcher, but I don't know. You just got to keep the bat in the lineup is the bottom line. Bottom line, got to keep the bat in the lineup. All right, next up, one of the most famous players in minor league baseball, Max Clark. Everybody knows him from social media, but also he's like been a longtime Team USA guy, electric type of player, really good personality. He was a first rounder, 3rd overall in the 2023 draft. So 2 guys from Detroit. This is the first team that has 2 in the top 10. McGonicle and now Max Clark. Max Clark is a straight outfielder prospect. The fielding is supposed to be way above average. Here's the hit grades: 60 on the hit grade, 50 on power, 70 on running, 60 on arms, 60 on fielding, and a 60 overall. He was the Indiana Gatorade Player of the Year in high school, International Player of the Year as an amateur at the 18 and under World Cup. Tigers selected him 3rd overall. And let's look at the stats. We know about him a little bit. It's a very toolsy approach. Let's see where he was last year. Ended up going from high A to double A. Hit 285 in high A, 251 in double A. So a combined 271, 14 home runs. Oh, I love this. 94 walks, 90 strikeouts, 19 bags. So not as many bags as I would have expected. Not as many extra base hits as I would have expected, but he did get hits. He did get on base. He had over 400 on base percentage, which is a good sign. And I love the strikeout to walk ratio. So watching him from a distance, I would have thought this guy would have been more of a reckless swinger. But no, he could be a PCA, but with less power and a better offensive approach. Now, maybe he's not quite PCA on defense. I don't know, but he's an above average defender according to these rankings here. They have him as a 60 defender, which is a great place to be. Let's see what we can find from Max at the plate. Another place that he plays at with no video really. So we're gonna have to go to his prospect savant page first, and then we'll go watch him a little bit on the MLB video. This is stupid. There he is. All right, let's see it. Now, he's red in every single thing except for pull in the air and swing percentage. So I think the lack of swing percentage is a little surprising because he seems like a very aggressive style prospect when I've watched him play. So it's interesting that he has also kind of a patient approach at the plate. But above average in anything, not crazy in anything. Like you look at the EVs and the max EVs. So it's more of a sum of the total parts game. He's got huge speed. He's a good defender. He puts the ball in play. I love the strikeout to walk ratio. Ideally, this is a guy who'll be a table setter for you moving forward and kind of an electric guy with the legs. Struggled with changeups, curveballs. Other than that, he was pretty solid. Let's see what they have for his videos here. I know we could go straight to YouTube, but that's a lot. All right, let's see. 2-run home run here. Not that he hits a lot of homers, but we'll go to that in a minute. PCA had 80 grade defense, so I agree. He's not really a PCA level of defense, but he's an above average defender with better contact skills. So, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, you're looking for maybe he could be a better player overall, but we're going to have to watch. We're going to have to wait on that. We just don't know yet. All right, hold on. Let me fix this video while we watch this Max Clark home run. Here it is. So most of his home runs are going to have to be pull side like that. Interestingly, he starts with the hands pulled way back, kind of a la some of the A's players now. So a good place to be in terms of his load. It's relatively simple. There's a little bit of a kick there, but it's not too much. Actually reminds me a little bit of Bazana's swing, who's a guy who I guess he's not in the top 10 now, but a guy that the Guardians are waiting on. And there's another home run we can wait on here for a second. But curious to watch him play at the higher levels. This year it'll be a AA, probably AA, AAA, and we'll see if he can push beyond that. But between him and McGonicle, that's pretty exciting. One good infield prospect, one good outfield prospect. Both guys aren't striking out a lot, which is exciting. Here's him hammering a slider. I mentioned most of his power is going to have to be pull side. I mean, no red flags on the swing. We'll see how he does with the best pitching. I think that's going to be the biggest question mark with Max as he goes up. The tools are there, no doubt. He's got the ability to impact the game in a bunch of different levels. But I don't know. Numbers, in terms of like the damage numbers and stuff, they haven't been as impressive as some of the other guys. That's probably why he's down the list just a hair. All right, what do we got here? T on Overland. I think Clark is the most bust potential player in the top 10. I think Walcott too. Walcott and Clark so far are two guys that seem to have pretty high ceilings, but kind of hard to say. I do think overall he will be very good. I just don't know what the hitting line is going to look like. You'd like to have a little more average than what he's been showing so far. But he's got good walk rates, so the on base is there. He's going to be a very useful player. It'd be interesting to watch him for sure. Does MLB prospect rankings not find pitchers? Overall, as I mentioned, pitchers are just a bit easier to find than an all-around guy who's in your lineup for 162, and a little less sure about a lot of these guys. So we'll get there when we get there, but you know, it's hard to compete with an all-around middle infield prospect, an all-around center field prospect. Like, it's hard to compete with that as a pitcher. You definitely get to affect the game a little less. Even a starter. Daniel's onto it. All right, two more here. Colt Emerson. This is a Seattle Mariner prospect, 20 years old. He got a 65 hit tool, so he's up there with McGonicle. This is the second highest hit tool we've seen. Power 50, run 50, arm 55, fielding 50, overall 60. Starred for Team USA, 18U World Cup. Ohio's Gatorade Player of the Year. He was the 22nd overall pick in the 23 draft. Owner of the best hit tool in the Mariners system. Emerson got multiple votes as being the best pure hitter in the minors. All right, what was his stats this year? Played on 3 teams, went from high A to AA to AAA. Only 6 games in AAA, did hit 364 in the 6 games. But here we go. 285, 383, so really good on base ability, 458 slug, 841 overall OPS. He did have a 790 in AA before getting promoted, but that's fine. That's solid. Not a big home run guy yet. He hit 11 in high A, but at the upper levels, he only hit 5 more. So 16 total, 71 walks, 105 strikeouts, 14 steals. He's more of a shortstop, third base type guy. Interesting to watch. This guy, I've never seen him play at all. So Colt, love that name. That's a baseball name if I've ever seen one. And here are his prospect savant rankings. So below average in max EV, right around average in K, below average in walk, although it looked like by the raw numbers, it wasn't so bad. Too much chase, whiffs about average, pulling in the air, below average, and then swing, zone contact, speed. Okay, so a little below average speed, which makes me think he might end up being a third baseman. long term without having watched him play, and that he needs to improve a little bit in his chase rate. That would be one thing, and that's something that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough when you go up. You know, the higher the levels that go, the more the pitchers are willing to make you chase. They play a lot of that, hey, this is a strike. No, it's not game. Whereas there's not as much of that at the younger levels because they don't understand it yet. They just try to be nasty, you know? So be curious to watch this dude a little bit. Let's see if we can find anything of Mr. Colt. Such a baseball name. Colt Emerson. Oh, here's a home run. All right, we're going to get started with a little video here. Let's check out the swing on Mr. Colt Emerson. Left on left. Oh. Weight on the back leg. Kaplow. Home run at Tacoma. And here's another one. Man, what is it? There's a little bit of a Nate Lowe swing, Nathaniel Lowe in this. It's a smaller guy. Wow, that ball went off the light tower. And it looks like he's packing a little bit of a punch here. Pretty flat, though, on the top there. Good swing there. This is a Landon Knack. That was a changeup that he just stayed on, pulls down the line. So he's going to be held back a little bit compared to the other guys because he's not as fast and stuff. Like he's, and the power hasn't really been there yet, but this is a good swing. I love that. I love shooting the ball the other way. That's nice. You're going to have to take that at the higher levels for sure. It's a nice little slow load before exploding. So good rhythm to this swing. Very good rhythm to this swing. Let's see a few more. Let's see. Another guy using the whole field line drive approach. So I don't know. Remains to be seen, but he's already in AAA, so he's coming pretty quick. You know, they just signed Naylor at first. They're probably going to let Suarez walk. So there's a direct line to Seattle for Colt Emerson at third base. No doubt about it. There's definitely a direct line for him to go there and be handed third base at some point if that's the way they go with him. This is actually a pretty true statement here by Omar, that Basallo might have the most bust potential, right? Because it's just the one tool, really. So if the bat ends up not playing, then there's no other redeemable quality, really. Whereas like a Max Clark, you know, he's got other ways to beat you. But no matter what, if you don't hit in the big leagues, you don't really get to stay unless you're a catcher. So they're all going to have to hit. But Basallo, I agree, it's maybe a little bit more of a boom situation. Like you think my comp was Schwarber. You think about comp. You know, think about his career, really high highs, really low lows, like really high highs, like where he's at right now. Everybody's bought in. He's hitting, 50 plus home runs. He's going to get paid huge. He's a known quantity. But you think just a few years ago, 4, 5, 6 years ago, he was non-tendered by a team. Nobody knew where to play him. There was too many strikeouts. There was no defense, and it was a concern. So with Basallo, I can see this comment ringing true. Well, that's why it's fun to just wait and see, right? Anyway, I thought Emerson looked pretty good. I really liked that swing. I like the way that's a slow load and a quick to the ball approach off of that. All right, number 10 is Walker Jenkins. This was another high school guy. I've heard about him for a few years now. He was 5th overall. 5th overall pick, Minnesota Twins. So the Twins are in a little bit of a transition right now. We'll see what happens with Buxton. We'll see what happens with some of their other pieces, with the sale of the team, etc. But they do have one elite prospect coming. It's Walker Jenkins. Pick 5th overall, I mentioned in 2023. They were the big winners in the lottery to determine the top of the 23 draft. They made a huge jump to grab the number 5 overall pick, and that was coming off of a good year. They got Jenkins, one of the top 2 top high school hitters in the class, and he quickly hit his way to full season ball. when he hit 988 OPS in his first taste of the league. Let's see what he did this year. 4 teams this year. So rookie A, double A, and triple A. Made it all the way to triple A. Double A, he was there a while. Double A was his main stop. He had 309 at Double A with a 913 OPS, and you combine that with his A numbers, not bad. All told, 286 this year, 850 OPS, 17 doubles, only 10 home runs, 50 walks, only 76 Ks, which is good. So another example of a guy who's kind of an all-around type prospect, offense, defense. He's a 60 arm, 55 field. And combining it with not striking out that much, which is going to be a really big separator when you can finally get to the top level. It's just the guys who don't punch out as much. I mean, everybody's striking out so much. If you can be on the plus side of that, that's going to be a good place to be. All right, Walker Jenkins. Let's find some other stuff on him. Okay. Too many strikeouts, not enough walks, too much swinging, basically. Just swings a lot. So because of that, he swings at some pitches he probably can't handle. That's going to be probably his number one thing he's going to have to fix as it gets up to the higher levels, is just understanding the zone a little better, learning how to take some more pitches, learning how not to chase. Because again, it gets harder and harder as you get up. The pitchers are better at making you chase. Really struggled with changeups and cutters, dominated both fastballs and breaking balls, actually. Crushed breaking balls. So, I don't know. Be interesting to see how he works when he gets up there. I bet he gets up there fairly soon. Like I mentioned, the Twins, they're in a little bit of a transition moment. So hits lefty, bats righty. Let's find some swings from Mr. Walker Jenkins. All right, Walker Jenkins. Ooh, very similar setup to Emerson. Weight on the back leg. Not a whole lot of movement there. He also looks really strong. Looks like the front foot stayed open, huh? Evens up a little bit. Off that swing, I would bet he tries to pull a lot. Let's see. Maybe when he goes the other way, it's when the ball gets pretty deep. Here's a single on a curveball. Yeah, this guy's got a pull approach, I'm pretty sure. I like the load though, very simple. Smacks it up the middle, very nice. Here's a homer, not a four-seamer. Oh, ball smacked. And over everything onto a roof somewhere out there. Man, that was pure. That was pure. There's another one here on a slider. Let's see it. This is off Chase Petty. He was in the big leagues this year. Ooh, center field. So, I mean, this pitch is on the very outside corner, it looks like, and he still tried to pull it. Curious to look at his spray chart for a second, because it feels to me like this is a dead pull guy, based off the clips that we've seen so far. Yeah, look at that. I mean, it's small sample, but everything to the pull side. All right, so that's something of a, if you're a Jose Ramirez, it's great. It's no problem. If you're, a guy who's trying to always pull outside pitches and you can't, then it's an issue. So, I don't know. Another guy to watch, and that's it for the first top 10 prospects. If you look at it, shortstop, 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 shortstop. just a pure hitter, then an outfield, shortstop, and then an outfield. So first 10 guys, literally no pitchers. They're all, except for Basallo, the idea behind all these guys is that they're all-around players. Good defenders, combinations of contact and pop. I thought especially guys like Griffen, McGonicle, Madé, Wetherholt, even Clark to some extent, and Emerson and Jenkins all did a good job with more like a closer strikeout to walk ratio than you normally would see. Those are all good signs. And I don't have much more time. I have to go in a few minutes, but we can at least go ahead and rehash Nolan McLean for a second, as he is the #1 pitching prospect in baseball at the moment. And really, is he a prospect anymore when he's likely to start opening day for the Mets? You know, unless they go ahead and sign somebody ahead of him. But dude, this guy was next level. So we don't even need to really look at Nolan McLean on there. We'll just go ahead and look him on actual Baseball Savant. And a couple things that I wanted to point out when we're talking about McLean. This will be the last guy we go over, and then we'll go over some more prospects the next time, because there's probably 50 that are interesting. But all right, Nolan McLean, 8 starts, 2.06 ERA for the Mets last year, 1.04. Hard to imagine any pitcher ever coming up and being more polished than this guy, honestly. Him and Skeens are 2 of the more polished guys I've seen ever come to the big leagues. Now, what makes him so special? Number one, he's got a really good pitch palette. Like, all these pitches are nasty, but especially his spin pitches are super outliers. Look at the curveball. It's completely off the chart. The dash line is where the average curveball would be, and you see how much further his ball's dropping. And same with the sweeper to the left. And then the sinker, which is these orange ones, are way below, and so are the kick change. So he has 4 pitches, not to mention these other 2, which are also a little bit weird. The 4-seam and his cutter, which, and honestly, those are probably below average by movement. But he has got 4 pitches that are way above average on movement, outlier type movement. The sinker and the changeup are both right around 0 vert to below 0. And the sweeper and the curveball are just crazy with huge action and just incredible spin rate. Spin rate on his pitches, which is just massive, and hard to overstate how important this is as a separator between him and some of the other guys, like even Sproat, who has similar arsenal, but they're just not the same pitches. 32.48 averaging on the curveball. That's good enough to be in the top 3 in the big leagues. That's adding so much more vicious drop to it. And then also right around 3,000 on the sweeper, also adding vicious drop to it. The other thing about him, you know, that was so impressive to watch, it's not just the raw stuff, it's the pitching knowledge. He's already in a kitchen sink approach, 28% sinker, 26% sweeper, 16% curve, 13% 4-seam, 9% changeup, 9% cutter. Like, he's already in a kitchen sink approach, but it's all makes sense. I have pretty much all of his starts are broken down on the channel throughout the year, so you can go back and watch them and rehash them. But this guy comes out, he throws breaking pitches behind in the zone for strikes. Sweeper's one of his big pitches for strikes. He handles righties and lefties really well. He knows how to get his contact outs. He knows how to freeze guys. He knows how to front door them when it's the right moment. He pairs odd things together, but makes it work, like sweeper to curveball. Great pairing if you can do it. Not a lot of guys can do it effectively and keep them separated, but he does. I mean, you see the separation and the movement between these 2 pitches. So I could not be higher on him. He's a two-way guy. He's got feel. He knows what's hard to hit at the plate, so he knows what to throw. Feels his position like a champ. Definitely has a little bit of that FU in him on the mound. I just couldn't be any higher on a guy. And for a guy who was probably not a top 100 prospect coming into last year to be the #1 pitching prospect coming in shows you the impression he made. Who's the next pitcher on this list after him? Bubba Chandler, who's in the big leagues, Andrew Painter, Thomas White, Kate Anderson. And then we're really way down the list, all the way Trey Savage at 26. So Trey Savage, who was a World Series hero, I would agree. I still have McLean ahead of him overall. I think McLean's a better pitcher overall. But this is an exciting class of rookies, and I can't wait to watch these guys. All right, this is a good idea. We'll finish with this. So that was it on McLean. Everybody kind of is infatuated with him, and I don't think anybody can wait to watch what he does this year. All right, let me try to find this Batter Up app, and then we'll do that. Ooh, I know this one. This is the first one right off the gate. I super know this one. Who is this? Oh, give me a sec here. Damn, the first one already. Let me just reload real quick. Oh, God, I know this freaking swing. I have a call coming in from this bearded man. I have to take that in a little bit. I'll call him back. Dude, I give up. Who is this? Yeah, it's Romy Gonzalez. All right, let's try again. Random player. We're going to get started. Okay, Mookie Betts. Bing, got him. All right, another random player. That is Yandy Diaz. Oh, this is like Wordle? I'm sorry. If I knew that, I would have done more guesses. That's Yandy Diaz. Let's go to another random player. That's Schwarber. That one was easy. Random player. Ooh, this one's tough. God, I feel like I know this one too. I'm going to guess Rafaela. It is Red Sox. Oh, Connor Wong, maybe. Yeah, Connor Wong. All right, another random player. That's Max Kepler. Bam. They have pitching ones too? Oh, that's David Peralta. Bam. All right, let's do some pitchers. So I guess strike zone is pitchers. All right, that's Framber. Bam. Random player. That's Scherzer. Bum, bum, bum. Next player. Oh, that's my guy from the Cubs. Steele. Justin Steele. Bam. Another random player. Oh, that's Patrick Corbin. Honestly, like, I can't believe I screwed up that first one because I should be really good at this. All right, what's this one? Oh, that's Heron? Heron? Tim Heron? Bam. Oh, you want the sound effects on this? All right, random player. That's Michael Lorenzen. Biceps man. Boom. Honestly, the pitching ones are almost too easy. I hate to say that, but who we got here? Oh, this is Yuki Matsui. Bam. All right, another random player. That's Chad Green. We'll just wait till I get one wrong for pitchers. Chad Green. Oh, okay. All right, random player. Who's next? Oh, this is Savage. Bam. Okay, who's next? That's Cole Reagans. Bam. I might not get one wrong, folks, of the pitchers. Ooh, this one I might get wrong. It's a lefty who's super juiced. God, this feels like a herder. Is there another herder? Who am I forgetting? It's not Brant Herder. Who's the other one? The other lefty on this team. Golly. I don't remember his name. I give up. We're gonna lose. Tyler Holton. I knew it was a Tiger. All right, we should do more of this. This was fun. Batter up's a good game. All right. Sorry, guys. I could have done better with that, but we got in a roll there a little bit with the pitchers. All right. We'll be back on Wednesday. I do have Garrett Whitlock popping on for a little bit on Wednesday. And then we'll have some more guests coming on, and we'll do some more stuff. Ooh, jump shots are tough. They have that? Let me go back to that real quick, because now I'm curious on that, just to see if I know anything. Let's just see jump shot. Oh, yeah, right. What about jump shot classics? I have no freaking idea. Was this George Gervin? No. Yeah, I know baseball. I don't know basketball that well. All right. That's it, folks. Thanks for hanging with me today. Hope that was a decent show. We'll have more guests coming up as we go. First winter show we did with the beautiful winter background and everything. And, we're going to talk Hall of Fame ballot one of these days. Bring my friend Jared on to do that with me. And then we'll continue to look through prospects too and other stuff, other topics. So hit me up with any suggestions and we'll go from there. Anyway, thanks for hanging. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. All right. Adios. Bye-bye.